Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to the US once again, and this is yet another one of the beers that I brought back with me from my recent trip over there. But for this one we're going to go to a state that's a little bit away from where I actually was in America. This was a beer from a brewery that I've wanted to try for a good number of years, but I've just never actually seen any of their beers, and I picked this one up in a pub in Iowa. So for this one we're going to head to the state of Oregon on the west coast, and we're trying my first beer from Deschutes Brewery. So this one is their fresh squeezed IPA, which comes in at 6.4%, and this is part of their kind of year-round core range, if you like. So really looking forward to trying this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. Since this is an Oregon beer as well, a shout out to Tasting Niche, who I've had a few encounters with. I think it was her who actually mentioned this brewery to me and told me I should try them. And I don't get to review all that many Oregon beers. When I go to Japan, it's actually far easier for me to get a hold of the Oregon and Washington beers there than it is here in Europe. So this is one that when I saw it, I really just wanted to try. And these guys are one of the more established breweries in Oregon from what I gather. So as I say, really looking forward to trying this one. And as always, I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Deschutes Brewery. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Deschutes Brewery then. So Deschutes Brewery can be found in Bend in Oregon, which is a little bit out to the east of Eugene, and it's on the banks of the Deschutes River, where of course it takes its name from. But the company was founded back in 1988 as a brew pub by Gary Fish and his wife Carol, who had moved from Northern California. Now Gary's parents were both from Oregon, but he was brought up of course in Northern California, and his father was a wine grape grower during the 1970s, and Gary had been in the restaurant business for a good number of years, basically working his way up from being a dishwasher to eventually being the co-owner of a restaurant in Salt Lake City over in Utah. A couple of years later though, he sold this share in the restaurant to relocate and found the brewery. So in the year that the brewery opened, Bend was only a town of around 15,000 people. It was coming out of a very deep recession, but there were a good number of other breweries opening up in the Pacific Northwest. Things like Rogue and stuff like that as well were kind of established around this time. But in the first year of operation, this brewery produced only around 310 barrels of beer, and by 1992 this had grown to just under 4,000 barrels per year. Due to the ever-increasing demand of the beer, they upgraded the brewery the following year in 1993, and they were brewing 50 barrel batches at any one time. And over the following years they continued to expand their capacity further and add to the repertoire of different beers. A few years later in 2008, well, good few years later in 2008, they added another brew pub in the Pearl district of Portland, and then later in 2012 the brewery underwent a large expansion, and by 2016 they were producing around 250 US barrels of beer per year, which if I'm not mistaken is somewhere in the region of 300,000 hectolitres of beer per year if we want to use real people measurements. The metric system is king in my mind, but this made them the 8th largest craft brewery in the US, and they're also currently working on a second brewery in Roanoke, if I've pronounced that correctly, in Virginia over on the east coast of the US, which is going to deal with all their east coast operations. And I guess maybe at that point their beers might start making it over here to Europe a little bit more, but they're hoping that this new brewery can open up in 2021, so in about 2 years time. As of June 2019 though, when I'm filming this review, they've produced just over 1,000 different types of beer, and these are released in the year-round range. We've got their seasonals as well, the Just Tapped, the Reserve, also a draft-only series, and some limited editions too. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Deschutes Brewery just now. Like I said, one of the more established names in Oregon from what I gather, and their beers are supposed to be pretty damn good, and from what from what Tasting Niche was telling me. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. But that's all you need to know about the brewery. If you want to learn more, check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. And of course you can check out the Untappd and Rate Beer pages to get a listing of all the different beers that they do. So yeah, let's get stuck into this one then and see how we get on. So before we open it up, I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. I have to say, I do quite like that. A nice hop flower just being kind of squished and all the nice oils coming out of it. That of course is what gives you a lot of your flavour in the beers. So this one is the Deschutes Brewery symbol, of course the river that runs through Bend that the brewery is named after. You can see that that's also on the bottle cap as well. This guy, as I mentioned to you before, comes in at the it comes in at 6.4%, and this one I think it's based before the 5th of July 2019, because the Americans always do their dates round the wrong way. But yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get it on with the tasting then. Curious to see how this one turns out. It's 375 millilitres by the way, and I can't remember, does it say how many fluid ounces that is for the American viewers? Doesn't actually. I did see that earlier but lost it now. Let's just get on with tasting the beer itself. So yeah, we'll get it out and into the glass. So, just going by the appearance on this one, and to be honest, it should be quite obvious when you consider where this beer comes from. This one is a West Coast IPA. It looks really nice actually. If I hold this beer up to the light, it actually is almost, it's a really kind of coppery colour, this one actually, a really deep, rich sort of amber. There's a solid finger, 2/3 finger rather, of a frothy, kind of creamy, very slightly, almost very slightly kind of yellowy, beigey coloured head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall, in terms of a West Coast IPA, this one looks really pretty nice actually. If I hold my fingers behind the glass, you can see there is a degree of transparency to this one, but the condensation on the side of the glass is actually making it appear a little bit more hazy than it is. But you know, nothing surprising about this one when you consider that it is a West Coast IPA. So let's take a closer look at that aroma then and just see how we get on here. Ooh, that smells really nice actually. So yeah, straight away with this beer, you're going to notice that nice malt base. It's got a lovely pale malty quality to it, and on top of that you're starting to get some nice sweet malty qualities out of it. I've been complaining on the channel for a little while now that a lot of breweries are forgetting about the West Coast IPA, so it is nice to go back and have something that's going to have a little bit more bitterness and a little bit more malty sweetness. Straight away with this one you get the nice biscuity notes. There's a little bit of caramel in there. It's slightly toasted, I would say, as well, and the bready qualities out of this one just become a little bit more kind of brown bready the more you smell of it actually. It's got a nice malty backbone to it, this beer. In terms of the hoppy side of things, it's kind of what you would expect. You know, if you get Citra and Mosaic in this one, you're going to get a nice bit of mango and a nice bit of oranges. For me, it's leaning, or I should say tangerines. Mosaic is more of a tangerine than a kind of oily orange. It's usually the Amarillo if you want a nice oily orange. But the juicy kind of tangerine notes are popping out of this one. It blends very well actually with the slightly sweeter backbone that the malt base has. You've got a nice little bit of a, you've got a really nice little bit of a kind of mangoey, juicy quality to this one, but that's quite subtle. I really think this beer leans towards the tangerine oranges. You can pick out a little bit of a kind of lychee gooseberry sort of thing, which is one of the complexities that you get from Citra. So yeah, it does, when you take this one a little bit more deeply, it's got a really nice oily orange to it, but at the same time there's some of these juicier tropical fruits just pushing their way out as well. So yeah, it's a really interesting blend of different things, this one, I have to say. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on. The terms of the green side of hops, I would say that this beer has a good little bit of floral quality to it, but it does lean a little bit towards the grassy side of things too. So the green side of the hops are showing a good little bit of presence to this one, but to me this smells like a really quite nice juicy fruity and a little bit more of a kind of malty IPA, this one, but you can get a good little bit of the hoppy nose. But I think this is going to be really well balanced and quite nice, and it is quite a highly regarded beer. So as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma, but we're going to have a taste of this one now and just see how we get on. So this one is the fresh squeezed IPA, coming in at 6.4% from Deschutes Brewery in Bend in Oregon, over on the American West Coast. Let's get stuck into this one. Sláinte, skål. Ooh, that's pretty nice, I have to say. Straight away I'm just going to say thumbs up to Deschutes. This is a really nice, drinkable, really quite nice, just drinkable, hoppy IPA. I really like this one. I wish, you know, I'll say straight away, this beer isn't at its freshest. You know, it's not too far away from its expiry date, but you can still get what this beer is all about out of it, actually. It's still got a nice hoppy bite to it. So yeah, let's start off with the middle of the palate then. In the middle of your palate you get this nice kind of pale malty quality. The further you go into the aftertaste, the middle of your palate does dry out and it starts to become a little bit more grainy the further you go into the flavour. But on top of that, you start to get some nice brown bready notes. There's a little bit of a biscuity, caramelly sweetness to this one, which is nice. In the very centre of your palate, it's actually quite oily and caramelly. That'll be the bit that's covering up the boozy aspect of the beer. When you move a little bit further out from the centre of your palate, that's when you get the nice kind of biscuity notes coming out of the beer. And then you've got a little, there is almost a slightly little touch of, there is a sort of cereally spice to this one. It's almost a little bit like a rye quality, which is kind of interesting. I don't think, would it say on the bottle if it had rye in this one? I don't think it did, but yeah, there's something in my mind that says there's just a little touch of a slightly cereally spice to this one, and it comes out more the more you drink of this one. It really comes out just as the beer sort of dries out in the middle of your palate, to be honest. But this beer gets a thumbs up for me. I do like this one, and I'd be curious to see what it's like when it's very, very fresh, actually. That would be interesting. Yeah, certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this beer again, but just bear in mind I have been missing West Coast IPAs at the time that I'm drinking this one. So yeah, the malt base is really nice, a little bit more grainy than I was expecting, but it does have a good sweet malty quality to it at the same time. The brown sugars are almost a little bit dark and toasted as well, which is kind of interesting. But on the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. That'll be from the Mosaic. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, it's a little bit more floral and spicy and aromatic. It's not too spicy right enough, but there is a little bit of that kind of floral spicy note on the front corners of the tongue. Round the very front curve of the palate, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy in my mind. And behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. Kind of along the lines of the aroma, this one to me really leans towards those tangerine oranges. It's the Mosaic that's pushing its way out of this beer a little bit more than the Citra in my mind. I mean, there's a little bit of mango in there, but really to me this is more of a kind of tangerine orangey IPA, this, and I do like that. If you've watched the channel before, you'll know that I love hops like the Azaka, the Mosaic, the Amarillo, the Mandarina Bavaria, the Styrian Dragon from Slovenia, and the Pacifica from New Zealand. I love the big orangey hops that you get, and to me this one really does kind of hit the spot, actually. So yeah, hopefully I can go to Oregon at some point and try this on draft when it's fairly fresh, actually. That's one of my goals for the channel. Hopefully I can film an on-site review of fresh squeezed for you at some point. But yeah, a really nice beer, this one, and it's been good to taste this for you. I really quite like this, so if you get the chance to try it, you know, have a go at it. And I do hope that we see this beer over in Europe at some point soon, because I think this one could do really quite well, actually. So yeah, really well balanced. It's not going to blow the head off you in any one regard. It's one of these ones where it's all about how the flavours kind of work together, and it's done very, very nicely. You know, nothing surprising about this beer if you've tried other West Coast IPAs, but it's just really well crafted, actually. But if you're an experienced kind of craft beer drinker, you know, you're going to say that about a lot of beers, to be honest. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, I'd say this beer is pretty mid-bodied. Carbonation is pretty smooth on this. This beer leans towards the oily side of things. Nice bit of hoppy bitterness. This one, it tells you on the bottle that it's 60 IBUs. I probably would have thought it was a bit less than that, to be honest. I might have thought that this one was about 50 if I was tasting it blind. But yeah, a nice balance of kind of graininess and sweetness in the malt base. Actually, it covers the alcohol very well. Good little bit of fruity juiciness in there, and also some nice kind of sweet malty qualities as well. But overall, a really, really nice beer, this one, and I'm glad that I was able to review this for you. So I hope you've enjoyed my take on this. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Deschutes Brewery as well, and hopefully I can return to these guys and to do more Oregon beers for you at some point soon. Do give me some Oregon brewery recommendations in the comment section below if you're watching from there. It'd be great to get out and visit your state. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. This is the fresh squeezed IPA from Deschutes Brewery in Bend, a little bit out to the east of Eugene in Oregon on the American West Coast. A lovely beer, so check it out for yourself. Until the next time, Slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, skål.